Hi everybody, I'm Robin, the Red River historian. And for over 20 years, the Red River historian has been documenting the history of where the South meets the rest along the Red River Valley of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. That's over 1,300 miles of history. And today we're in Mulberry, Texas, just a stone's throw away from the Red River in Fannin County.
Mulberry is a community that organized in the 1880s to support numerous farms in the area, many of which derived from the large plantations that set up here in the 1850s. Mulberry was named after the many mulberry trees along the creeks that feed the Red River, and also lends its name to the northward bend of the Red River.
The Mulberry Cemetery is located behind this Pennate Methodist Church, and according to its historical marker, it's an active cemetery, it's well maintained, and there was a school that was located here close to the church for the white children. However, there's a little bit of history that the historical marker leaves out. A very interesting tombstone sits in the southwestern section of the cemetery. It is for Bob Hunter and Will Green, who died on February 10th, 1898. There's no birth date listed. And it's a substantial marker that has weathered well. On the back of the tombstone is carved "Called Outlaws, Deputy Milstead also killed." Now, I'm not sure if this grave holds the bodies of the two men that it memorializes or who placed this tombstone here, but this is a very interesting history that I thought we could go explore together, and that's the purpose of this video. Come with me to learn a little bit more about what happened here in Mulberry, Texas.
The area around Mulberry Bend, also called the Mulberry Bottoms, was known for its seclusion. The river floods quite a bit here, and mature trees don't last long. They're often swept away by flash floods. But the silty soil allows more trees to grow on the banks, along with large thickets of brambles. This dense underbrush graced both sides of the Red River, Texas's side as well as Indian Territory side. Across the Red River from Mulberry Bend were the Choctaw Nation and a sliver of the Chickasaw Nation called Island Bayou, both inside Indian Territory. The nations did not allow the sale of alcohol and didn't have much law enforcement. This was the perfect area, so to speak, for moonshiners. Mulberry Bottom, sometimes called Red River Bottoms, proved to be a good location for making illicit whiskey. These folks who set up the stills sometimes engaged in cattle rustling too. The proximity to Indian Territory and to Texas made these lucrative endeavors, but also roused the indignation of the law and order crowd. The last quarter of the 19th century was a period of both chaos and consolidation along the Red River Valley. The region was quickly industrializing as the railroads established themselves. It was also a violent place of lynchings and Klan activity. Farming was still the main economic activity, but making a living at it proved difficult as the Gilded Age economy forced a number of financial panics. At the national level, society seemed to progress with the big ideas of the Second Industrial Age and patted itself on the back with exhibitions and exaltations. But rampant economic uncertainty underlied this progress. At the regional level, social progress was implemented with a heavy hand. Historians have called this a search for order. Local law enforcement acted as the gatekeepers to keep a society in check that was developing criminal codes to protect private property and maintain orderly conduct. This meant, of course, executing warrants when people failed to walk this new straight and narrow, like cowboys cutting fences to allow their cattle access to watering holes, or moonshiners evading excise taxes. Bob Hunter and Will Green moonshined along the Mulberry Bend in the 1890s, and their criminal activities vexed the Fannin County Sheriff Department. When an informant told Constable Thomas Milstead that the men were staying at a cabin on the Ewing farm between Mulberry and Ravenna, Milstead organized a posse. This included John Prash, Charles Bridge, William Daly, and John Ridley. On February 10, 1898, the posse rode to the cabin at night and surrounded it until daybreak. when Bob Hunter and Will Green arose and emerged from the cabin. According to accounts relayed by several newspapers shortly after the event, Constable Milstead presented himself and demanded their surrender, but the men shot at the officers instead, then tried to flee. Over 50 shots were eventually fired, and after it was all over, Milstead lay fatally injured. Bridge was also injured, and Hunter and Green were dead. Their bodies were handed off to the county coroner.
It's interesting how this gravestone is a little bit accusatory. There are 2 men buried here, memorialized, called Outlaws, no birth date given. And it makes you wonder who did this tombstone, who bought this tombstone for them. Was it a family member? Was it perhaps associates who pulled their money together? Was it perhaps the community of Mulberry who felt obligated to do so? Thomas Milstead was buried 4 days after he died at Mulberry at the Willow Wild Cemetery in Bonham, Texas, the Fannin County seat. He was a member of the Woodmen of the World, a fraternal organization that was dedicated to the mutual benefit of hard-working people. That's their quote. And does an interesting juxtaposition for that search for order that the 19th century, the late 19th century encompassed, and it's something that we're going to be looking at in upcoming videos. Thank you so much for coming out and learning the history of the Red River Valley with me. I'm Robin, the Red River historian, and for over 20 years I've been documenting and researching the history of the Red River Valley of the Southwest through Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana, while teaching, publishing, and consulting with museums. So I hope you subscribe to our channel. Also visit our Facebook, visit our blog, and of course visit www.redriverhistorian.com. Thank you, and I'll see you at the next video.